in for the latest weather forecast from News 2.
January 26, 1995.
The president favors a tax cut.
We ought to cut taxes $500 for families with children under 13.
So does Newt Gingrich.
We are going to keep our promises.
But if they also want to balance the budget, don't be misled. It's going to cost a lot of families money.
They are going to balance the budget on the backs of the middle class, and we're the ones that are going to pay.
Tonight, the balancing act. One family's budget, one family's pain. And the state versus O.J. Simpson.
This is ABC News Nightline. Reporting from Washington, Ted Koppel.
As indicated, two subjects tonight. One, the realization of a conservative dream. The first major step down a road that will make it illegal for the federal government to spend more than it takes in. The House tonight passed a balanced budget amendment, and it did so with a flourish. We'll have a full report on who pays the price a little later in this program. We begin, though, with the sequence of events that brought about a brief delay in the O.J. Simpson trial. As you may recall, we told you last night how angry the prosecution team was at the failure of the defense to comply with California law and provide the names of all the witnesses they intended to call. One member of the prosecution team, Deputy District Attorney William Hodgman, became so upset that he was hospitalized last night after complaining of chest pains. It made for an angry session in court today. The prosecution asked for sanctions against the defense and a 30-day delay so that they can catch up on the witnesses and the evidence. Judge Ito tonight postponed the trial until at least Monday. Here's Nightline's Judy Muller.
Right from the get-go, the debate over discovery was down and dirty.
They cannot shut me up, Your Honor. I'm going to tell the truth about this case.
Legally, it's a violation of this court's direct order to counsel, and morally, it's a violation of the jurors' right to the truth. They've been lied to, they've been deceived, they've gotten half-truths from counsel.
The things that we talked about are things that either we disclosed to them or things that I knew about that I have no obligation to tell them about. They cannot get inside my head, and they might as well understand that.
Counsel has committed numerous acts of misconduct, and for him to turn to us and say we're trying to get into his mind and we're trying to prevent the truth from coming out is outrageous, is disgusting, and is appalling to me as an officer of the court. He knows that is not the case.
The prosecutors worried that the jury had been tainted, and they complained that they had been ambushed, sandbagged by the defense's opening statement with its numerous references to previously undisclosed witnesses.
Had we known about some of these witnesses, we could have informed counsel that they are heroin addicts, thieves, felons, and that's one of these witnesses, one of their so-called material witnesses, is the only person I've ever known to be a court-certified pathological liar.
One witness mentioned for the first time in the opening statement was Mary Ann Gerchis, who allegedly saw 4 men running away from the crime scene that night.
We have only known of this witness 24 hours, and already we know she has 9 lawsuits pending. In the DA's office, in our bad check section, there are $10,000 approximately in bad checks that relate to this person.
Other witnesses complained the prosecutors were never named at all, although there was speculation that at one point in his opening statement, Cochran was alluding to football player Marcus Allen.
He has a very close friend, somebody who's very near and dear to him. The evidence will show who had a relationship with Nicole Brown Simpson, because she told him so.
I'm confident that it won't be Mr. Marcus Allen, because I traveled to Kansas City and I was present with 3 police detectives when Mr. Allen told us he never had an affair with with Nicole Brown.
The prosecution was also furious about Cochran brandishing the so-called mystery envelope, an envelope that reportedly contains a knife. The contents of the envelope have never been inspected by the prosecution.
The jury should be informed that this was a low blow and a cheap shot. That it is gross misconduct.
For all the prosecution's outrage, it was matched in degree by the defense.
They went on this public relations media blitz to tar this man. Finally, Your Honor, after 7 months, yesterday, somebody spoke up for O.J. Simpson. All across this country in the byways and highways, they heard another side, what this evidence is going to be. And they can't take it.
The defense also pointed out that the prosecution had been late in handing over documents as well. But Clark called that an apples and oranges argument.
The statements turned over by the people were 2 and 3 weeks late. The statements turned over by the defense were 4, 5, and even 7 months late.
Even worse, added the prosecution, the late defense information was presented first to the jury.
Tell the jury that the defense, the dream team, America's finest defense attorneys, tell the jury that these lawyers have committed misconduct, they have deceived the court, and that they have violated the basic and fundamental rules of discovery, and that they have impinged upon the people's right to a fair trial.
The prosecution is asking the judge for a 30-day continuance and to sanction the defense by delaying witnesses. They also want him to admonish the jury to ignore parts of the defense's opening statement and the right to reopen their own. That sort of rebuttal is almost unheard of. I'm Judy Muller for Nightline in Los Angeles.
Joining us now live from our Los Angeles bureau, ABC legal consultants, former L.A. District Attorney Robert Philibosian and criminal defense attorney Leslie Abramson. What am I going to do with the two of you? I tried to tell you last night this was a big deal. You didn't want to believe me, right? Leslie, what happened there today?
The prosecutors lost all control over their emotions. I mean, they just went ballistic. And I think maybe the reason is because their leader wound up in the hospital. They got even madder than they would have been just over what the discovery issue was. You know, they're mad at the defense for putting poor Bill Hodgman in the hospital. It's a very emotional, unprofessional kind of behavior we saw today.
Well, I know you're not joking about it, but I mean, Bob, in point of fact, he really must have been extremely upset. I mean, he clearly did feel, I'm talking about the poor man who went to the hospital last night, he clearly did feel that what happened yesterday was beyond the pale.
Well, I don't think that it was just what happened yesterday that put Bill Hodgman in the hospital. He'd been working incredibly hard for 7 months, literally 7 days a week, 12, 14 hours a day. I think the man was exhausted, and I think what happened yesterday sort of capped it off, and it was just too much. He internalized all of that, and we saw an uncharacteristic Bill Hodgman yesterday. Normally, he's the calm one of the team. He got very upset. I think he was righteously upset because the defense had been so blatant in their disregard. Was it carelessness or was it on purpose? It doesn't make any difference. They were very blatant in their disregard for the law.
Well, I mean, everybody keeps, to a certain extent, still giving the defense the benefit of the doubt and leaving open the possibility that it might have been by accident. How could it have been by accident? It could have been by accident up until the time that they come into court and they start citing what some of these witnesses are going to say. By then, surely they had the information. They hadn't even given it to the prosecution by then.
Well, I think the problem is that they thought they had. You see, Johnny, who's writing the opening statement, who's making the opening statement, was not the lawyer on this, huge, cumbersome team who was in charge of turning the statements over to the prosecution. So even though he knows about the witness, he's told the court he thought they knew about the witness.
All right, so what we're talking about here is, at best, then, sloppiness.
Well, sloppiness in the most watched case in the world is definitely a bad performance. There's no question it's
Now,
bad.
what is Judge Ito going to do at this point? I mean, he can't afford to delay this trial by another 30 days and keep those jurors locked up for 30 days, can he?
No, it's unrealistic to think that Judge Ito is going to delay the trial for any more than 2 or 3 days. And I think he's telegraphed that point very clearly by telling the prosecutors they'll have plenty of time to do their investigation of the defense witnesses while they put on their case in chief. I think one of the reasons that the prosecution was going after the defense hammer and tong today was because they want to be able to have the judge admonish the jury in very stern terms that Mr. Cochran overstepped the bounds and that many of the things that he said to them should be totally disregarded. That's what they're really gunning for here.
I've heard lawyers talk about this as being the jury will please disregard the pink elephant routine.
Exactly.
I mean, once you draw attention to the pink elephant, do not think about that pink elephant. And all you can do is see that damn pink elephant. I mean, in a sense, it almost works against the prosecution if the judge admonishes, doesn't it?
Well, that's my opinion, but this seems to be they need some kind of satisfaction for their anger. And you know, under the law, the judge can't come down on the defense with the most extreme sanction, which is to prohibit the testimony, unless he's tried other kinds of sanctions to make them behave first. So he really has to do something mild. I frankly think they're making a mistake by asking for that, because you're right. It's going to be Mary Ann Gurge's time all over the place with that jury. But, you know, it's just that what they need is some kind of satisfaction for their extreme emotionalism. And you have to ask yourself, should the judge be playing to that at all?
Bob, we've got about 40 seconds left. I just want to ask you something. It may sound a little strange. It seems to me, just watching the cases, I've been watching it, the judge is awfully tough on Marcia Clark, seems to be bending over backwards with the defense.
Well, I think he wants to give the appearance of being fair, and Judge Ito is a very fair judge. But keep in mind, Judge Ito was a prosecutor for many years. He was a very fine prosecutor. He always played straight with the court and with the defense attorneys. That was his reputation. He also was not emotional in the courtroom. Very effective, but not emotional. Sometimes judges tend to project their own standards onto lawyers, particularly judges who were once upon a time prosecutors, sometimes do project the standards that they kept for themselves as prosecutors onto the ones who are now before them in court.
I thank you both very much. We'll see you next week. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you.
When we come back, the big Republican victory on the federal budget and its potential impact on the budgets of American families.
This is ABC News Nightline, brought to you by Buick.
The Buick Park Avenue Ultra. Not only has it restored people's faith in the quality of American luxury cars, but it has a way of rejuvenating the soul as well.
So, Mr. Rosette, what you doing?
Surfing the internet.
Don't look like a beach boy.
I'm editing Blood of the Pharaohs. This is from the University of Cairo. That's Queen Nefertiti.
Cool. Yeah, you guys kind of look alike.
Friday, O.J. Simpson's first wife, Marguerite. She's never talked before, even to the prosecution. What could she reveal in court?
Did O.J. Simpson ever physically abuse you?
A Barbara Walters exclusive, 2020, Friday.
In testing, the Lexus GS cornered better than the BMW 540i. You may say that it's only a matter of inches, and you'd be right. But there will be instances on the road where an inch is as good as a mile. And the GS is thousands less than the 540i at Lexus of Nashville.
This week, and this week only, at Just for Feet, the world's largest athletic shoe store, we're having our biggest sale of the year. It's our 50% off sale. That's right, 50% off on all clothing. And all shoes are on sale. Save 50% on warm-ups, t-shirts, sweats, socks, shorts, caps, bags, and licensed products from Reebok, Adidas, Asics, and Nike. And all shoes are on sale. At Just for Feet, we're exploding with savings during the 50% off sale this week at Just for Feet, where your 13th pair is free.
Tonight's passage of the balanced budget amendment was a major victory for the Republicans. Democrats were able to beat down an effort to require a 3/5 vote to raise taxes, and they will mount a last-ditch fight in the Senate. One Republican tonight said American families know that trying to get Democrats to quit spending taxpayer dollars is like trying to knock hungry buzzards off a meat wagon. As correspondent Jim Angle now reports, American families should realize that this vote has serious consequences for their own finances.
I recommend to the Congress that we advance and that we do not retreat.
For 60 years, the role of government has been steadily advancing. But now a new speaker and a Republican majority in Congress intend to reverse that. Government will be smaller and government benefits harder to come by.
What Newt Gingrich and the Republican leaders are being asked to do is play the role of Scrooge, to essentially play the politics of taking away rather than the politics of giving.
Republicans want to enshrine that mission in the Constitution with an amendment requiring a balanced budget. Congress has never been known for saying no to constituents, but this time Republicans say the taxpayers are supporting, even demanding, a balanced budget. Perhaps ask people if they support a balanced budget amendment, and in poll after poll, some 80% say yes. But ask about specifics, and support plummets. Down substantially if it means welfare cuts, down even more if defense is targeted, and way down if spending is reduced for education. That's one reason Republican leaders have been reluctant to spell out how they would get to a balanced budget.
The fact of the matter is, once members of Congress know exactly chapter and verse the pain that the government must live with in order to get to a balanced government, their knees will buckle.
That doesn't sound very voter-friendly, so other Republicans try to make it sound more appealing.
In order to get to a balanced budget over 7 years, we can actually have a slight increase in total federal spending.
Perhaps the most honest assessment in Congress of what a balanced budget will mean comes from Gerald Solomon. Last year, he actually proposed one. Among other things, it would have cut spending for transportation by 29%, for the environment by 44%, for agriculture by 72%. Even Newt Gingrich voted against it as Republicans rejected it 2-1.
I said it was going to hurt like hell. It's going to hurt individual Americans, and it's going to be politically very, very difficult for members of Congress.
And financially difficult for many American families, including the Piancas of Palo Alto, California. They want government to cost less, but they do not really want it to do less.
The salmon's in, and then I'm doing the rice.
What I would really want to see in Washington would be a smaller government, but not... I'd hate to see the programs being cut. I would more like to see the bureaucracy pared down some.
Every family would be affected differently by a balanced budget, but the Piancas illustrate how ingrained federal spending has become in taxpayers' finances. For instance, Mr. Pianca's paycheck would take a hit. He is a union supervisor for a heating and air conditioning contractor. On a long list of standing Republican proposals, which will be the foundation of a balanced budget, is repeal of the Davis-Bacon Act. It requires the government to pay workers on federal projects the prevailing wage in the area, which usually means union scale. Repeal of the act would save the government $600 million a year, but union officials argue it would mean a cut in wages of as much as 20%.
It would really affect us, Davis-Bacon. I think there's many ways they can save money besides cutting a working person's wage. I mean, there's got to be better ways, you know?
With daughter Elizabeth still in high school, the Piancas would get a $500 tax credit, but it would not help much with the family's biggest financial hurdle, where to find the money for her college education.
These are the forms that I got from school about the financial aid.
She is applying for loans, but a Republican budget would start charging interest on those loans from day one, rather than after graduation. That would save the government $2 billion a year, but would add about $3,500 to a typical loan of $17,000.
If they do make these cuts, then my family will be more burdened with the problem of paying for my education. And it's already a problem, but it'll be a greater one.
What's the other thing with them?
Okay, so I'll get that. Right, that's all right to get
How much
that.
are you going to pay them?
The full amount.
A balanced budget amendment would also show up in the family's monthly utility bills. Palo Alto, like many cities in the West, gets much of its power from federal hydroelectric plants at cost. The Republican budget would force federal power to be sold at much higher market rates instead. That would save the government $1 billion a year, but drive up the Pianka's utility bills by 30%.
There goes a tax cut. Yeah. No, I mean, that's, you know, we're looking at probably, what, another $60, $70 a month on that.
In addition, an analysis by the U.S. Treasury Department says California would lose more than $10 billion a year in federal grants. To avoid cutting services, the state would have to raise the Pianka's taxes by 12.5%. All in all, balancing the federal budget will make it harder for the Piankas to balance their budget. The family has monthly take-home pay of about $3,600. Reduce that by $20 a month for higher state taxes. Another $41 for higher college loan repayments. Subtract another $70 for more expensive utilities. And the biggest blow of all, the family would lose some $600 when the government quits paying union wages on construction projects. In the end, the Pianka family budget would come up short by more than $730. Of course, ending the national borrowing binge would also bring many benefits, including lower federal taxes and lower interest rates, which would make everything from car loans to mortgages more affordable. Under a balanced budget, some taxpayers would lose more, some less, but the bottom line is inescapable. If Americans want smaller government, they will have to wean themselves from federal benefits. Balancing the budget will be even more difficult because half of all federal spending, Social Security, defense, and interest on the national debt would be exempted from cuts. That means remaining programs would have to take a much bigger hit.
The unprotected half of the budget, you would have to cut on average 30% by the year 2002. And since some things like payments to veterans, protecting the borders, fighting forest fires aren't going to be cut 30%. A lot of other things would have to be cut 40, 50% or more.
The Piankas are worried about how the pain will be shared.
So let's face it, the people that are really going to suffer are the poor, and then the next level up is the middle class, you know. The rich are not going to suffer from these cuts, believe me, you know, and neither are the corporations.
The feeling of sacrifice wouldn't be as bad if you felt that it was exactly even for everybody and that everybody was doing it together for a better cause and for some benefit.
Congress is about to embark on a tricky balancing act between what Americans want from government and what they are willing to pay for. So far, there is little evidence that taxpayers are willing to give up any benefits they receive. As Washington old-timers are fond of saying, balancing the budget is like going to heaven. Everyone wants to go, they just don't want to do what it takes to get there. This is Jim Angle for Nightline in Washington.
When we come back, we'll be joined by two men who will soon be debating the future of the balanced budget amendment on the floor of the Senate.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
The new Trooper Limited from Isuzu is thoughtfully equipped with stuff like dual airbags and extra skid plates, so that you're always prepared no matter where you go.
You may already be a $10 million winner.
Even if it's just down to the corner and back.
In business, the only thing you know for sure is that every day will bring the unexpected. Up 1 minute, down the next. Only AT&T is bringing certainty to the uncertain world of business. Calls that get through, faxes that get through, and our prices will be competitive, guaranteed. We thought this might help you get through another day in business. AT&T, for the life of your business.
Next time, Boomer Esiason, Lynn Swan, Gloria Estefan, and Tony Bennett. Get ready for Super Bowl 29 with Good Morning America from Miami here on ABC.
Looking for the vacation of a lifetime? Look no further. Call now and sail away on Carnival, the best vacation value under the sun. You'll enjoy fabulous dining, fun-filled days at sea, lavish entertainment, plus visits to some of the world's most exciting ports of call, all for one low price. Even your airfare's included, so call now.
Don't miss Just Cruisin's fabulous free Sail Away 95 cruise show Sunday at the Marriott.
Historically, whenever you had a problem in your neighborhood, there was always someone to help you, just when you needed them most.
Today, you can still rely on Thrifty for neighborly rates on wheels, like this Chrysler Neon, when your car is on the rocks.
So whether you're traveling in your neighborhood or to someone else's, we're there. Your neighborhood Thrifty car rental, historically known for low rates.
Joining us now from Capitol Hill, Republican Senator and likely presidential candidate Phil Gramm, and Democratic Senator and newly appointed chair of the Democratic National Committee, Christopher Dodd. Senator Gramm, I was watching you during that piece of Jim Angle's, and you were smiling, but you were grumbling. You didn't agree with the math there?
Well, Ted, first of all, I think we've got to ask ourselves, what is it going to cost us not to balance the budget? In 1950, the average American family with 2 children sent 1 out of every $50 it earned to Washington, D.C. Today, that same family is sending 1 out of every $4 it earns to Washington, D.C. In 1950, obviously, the federal debt, relative to what it is today, was dominated by World War II debt. But in terms of absolute dollars, it is astronomical today, and in 20 years, if we keep doing the same thing we're doing, we're going to be spending between 30 and 40% of our budget paying interest.
Senator, let me use a legal term. Maybe it's too much of watching the O.J. Simpson trial. Let's stipulate what you're saying. Everybody agrees. We're spending too much money servicing the debt I mean, you know, the interest is too high. We got to bring it down. What I don't hear is where we're going to do it. I mean, people are going to be in pain, right? Why don't we just acknowledge it?
Ted, I do acknowledge it. Balancing the budget is going to be difficult. It is going to require the federal government to do what families have to do every year, what businesses have to do with their budgets every day. They have to make tough choices. But the point I'm making, in listening to that family talk about the deficit, they act as if we can stay where we are and continue to do the things we're doing. The point I'm making is taxes are going to continue to skyrocket. Interest payments are going to continue to skyrocket. And either we're going to address this issue, or in 20 years we're not going to be living in the same country that we grew up in.
Senator Dodd, I don't think you disagree with that. If there is disagreement, as I understand your position, it's that you just don't think that a balanced budget amendment is really an honest way of going about it.
No, it's a gimmick. I mean, a total gimmick. Everyone wants the balanced, move in the balanced budget direction. I've offered legislation to have pay-as-you-go budgets. I was a strong supporter of Phil Gramm's Graham-Rudman-Hollings proposal of a decade ago. We got to come up here and do the hard work. I just don't like the idea of trying to write into the Constitution economic policy here. I think the family that you had on was saying it right. They understand what has to be done. They're worried about fairness. They don't want to see working people who are struggling to become part of the middle class, end up paying the price and watching the very affluent in the country or the corporations get off the hook. We just had a vote today. It was only a sense of the Senate, a proposal, but it said exclude Social Security entirely. We've added the Contract with America said increase defense spending, cut taxes without paying for them. That's exactly what people don't want to see. On November 8th, they said, look, cut out the gimmickry, get serious about this, do the hard work. It's not easy to do this, but roll up your sleeves and go to work. We can take pain, we can take it if it's fair, if it's honest, explain why you're doing it, but don't sit here and offer bumper sticker solutions by turning the Constitution into sort of a wish list or a set of New Year's resolutions. That doesn't get the work done.
Thomas Jefferson, when he saw the Constitution, said he'd like to make one change. and that is he'd like to limit the ability of government to borrow money. So this is not a new concern, this is an old concern.
I agree with
We
you.
have not balanced the budget since 1969. The Constitution is about limiting the ability of Congress to do things. The American people want to force us to deal with the deficit. What are we going to have if we have a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution, Ted? We're not going to have a four-sided fort that we can pull up the drawbridge and go back to sleep, and it does the job for us. But those of us who want to deal with the problem are going to have a good stone wall to our back in a gunfight. We have not dealt with the deficit when we have not been forced to do it, and the constitutional amendment is a forcing mechanism to force everybody to get together and to make tough decisions. If we don't make those tough decisions, if we don't act like businesses and families act in the real world, we're going to see the American dream die. I think that's the cold reality.
I guess, I mean, just to borrow your metaphor, Senator Dodd, you would probably agree there's going to be a gunfight. The question is, which side of the wall do you want to be on? Wouldn't you like to have that wall behind you where you can say, hey, it ain't me, folks, I've got to do it? That's, you know, that's the law.
No, because it doesn't become a wall. It becomes once more again just the old chicanery around here. We've seen the states do it already. They come up with all sorts of ways. They have capital budgets. They have bonding mechanisms. We'll end up with the courts in many ways deciding this. I'm sure there'll be a case brought every year arguing that the budget is not in balance, ultimately going to the Supreme Court, I guess, who will have to decide, these lifetime appointees, never elected anything, deciding whether or not we're in balance. It creates a whole set of false issues here. It says, in effect, we should never have a deficit. It says you can't anticipate or predict floods in California, fires, other problems that come up. Again, the Founding Fathers in the Federalist Papers said that this document ought to be a subtle, flexible document that doesn't get tied down with a lot of rigid ideas. This is an economic theory we're talking about here. It ought not to be written into the organic law of the United States. That's the danger. That doesn't get us away from the notion that you've got to do the hard work. We've done it this last year, 3 years in a row now. We've actually reduced the deficit. We're on the right track. Let's stay on that track.
I said at the beginning of this program that no one disagrees with the general principle. Right. It's the specifics where we get into trouble.
Ted, I don't know.
Hold on just a second, Senator Graham, because I'm going to give you ample opportunity to talk about specifics right after this break. We'll be back in a moment.
Mon disque dur est plein. Oh. Il faut que j'archive 500 MB ou je suis fichu.
Oh, ça c'est embêtant. J'ai entendu dire qu'il travaillait sur un nouveau procédé laser pour stocker de l'information.
Le laser? Qui fait ça?
Bah, IBM. Oui, IBM. Ils disent même qu'on pourra stocker 10 fois plus de données.
C'est incroyable.
Your new Mercedes E-Class. What will it see in its long, long life? Will it see the government finally balance the budget? Will it see hologram billboards projected in the sky? Will it see the cure for disease? Will it see Woodstock 3 hosted by Tony Bennett? And will it see the end of the 14-year-old baseball strike? Well, one thing's for sure. You'll have a nice shiny car to take your grandkids to the ballpark.
From today on, it will be a lot easier for everyone in America to stay in touch. Because now MCI introduces new friends and family. A 25% savings on every call automatically when you spend just $10 a month. In fact, with new friends and family, you'll always save over AT&T's best program. Always. New friends and family. MCI customers are invited to join, and so is everyone else. So call us.
When it comes to great resorts, nothing beats a Carnival cruise. All your daytime fun, all your nighttime shows and entertainment, and all your food's included too in one low price. Reach, what are you doing here?
You have to ask?
I think I do have to ask.
I mean, after all these years of it, see me now.
It must be working, huh?
Working on me.
Take a 3, 4, or 7-day vacation on Carnival, the most popular cruise line in the world.
All right, Kathy, it's all fun shit.
It's cold outside. inside. The winter heats up Sunday right after the Super Bowl with Extreme here on ABC.
In a recent worldwide educational test, the United States didn't rank first or second or even third.
Switzerland.
It seems while the rest of the world raised their educational standards,
Scotland. Slovenia.
we didn't.
Spain.
So we came in 14th.
The United States.
And 14th is no place for our kids to be. Call 1-800-96-PROMISE and we'll give you lots of ways to help our kids move forward again.
And we're back with Senators Chris Dodd and Phil Gramm. Senator Gramm, start loading your rifle here. What are some of the big chunks? Where are you going to be able to take 10, 20, 50, $100 billion out of the budget?
Well, let me first say, Ted, let me set this problem in perspective because I think people get confused with these big chunks. First of all, you are talking about the necessity of cutting some programs and cutting them dramatically. But to balance the federal budget by the Congressional Budget Office numbers or by the President's numbers means freezing the total level of government spending for 3 years.
Even that, I think, is predicated on the assumption that the economy is going to continue to grow. If the economy doesn't grow, then just freezing the budget for the next 3 years isn't going to do it, is it?
Well, but the point is, if the economy doesn't grow, one of the reasons it's not going to grow is that government is borrowing 50 cents out of every dollar that is saved in the American economy. My point is, this is something that has to be done. It's not going to be a sweet pill, but we've got to look not just at the cost of balancing the budget, we've got to look at the cost of not doing it. And what I'm saying is that we are going to see our country change in ways that we are not going to like. And I think what we've got to do is go through the budget, look at how hard people work for their money, and ask the question, do the benefits we get from these programs add up to something that is worth taking the money away from hard-working people to pay for it? I think we all know that probably a third of the government wouldn't stand up to that test.
Let me turn to Senator Dodd again. I have a sense, and we saw it in that family out in Palo Alto to a certain degree, there is a sense that all we're going to do is we're going to cut spending on the federal level, and that's all to the good. What we don't see is that spending may rise then on the state level.
Well, if I can, Ted, jump in here a little bit, you've also got the problem. Phil uses the example of a family. Well, families have mortgages, they have student loans, they may borrow money if they're in business for themselves, certainly corporations do. Things happen to families. All of a sudden, children are going to college, someone gets sick at home, there's a problem with the house you didn't anticipate. I mean, to suggest that people live in a static existence and nothing else changes is unrealistic, number one. Number two, I think the idea, certainly I think there's the freeze notion is unrealistic in a way because it doesn't anticipate changes that can occur. But that's at least a lot better idea in my view, what Phil has suggested there, than amending the Constitution of the United States. So that's my major pointer. I'm willing to listen to all sorts of ideas. As I said, I was a supporter of the Graham-Rudman approach a decade ago. I had my own bill on requiring that we pay for everything. All these ideas ought to be tried, but don't go around and mess with the Constitution of the United States. That's dangerous.
Let me just get a little more parochial with you both, because, I mean, the issue is before the House right now. It's eventually going to come before the Senate. It looks as though it's going to pass the House. Is it going to pass in the Senate, Senator Graham?
I think it's going to be a very close vote. If the Democrats who have voted for it in the past will vote for it now, it's going to pass. The question is, now that we're shooting with real bullets, now that we really have an opportunity to force Congress, not just this year, but from now on to make hard decisions and set priorities, will those same people vote for it again? I think it's going to be very close, Ted, but I believe it is critically important, and the American people are willing to undertake the pain of doing it because they know we cannot continue to do business as we have done it, and they know that short of a binding constraint, Congress has proven that it is not going to get the job done.
Actually, go ahead, Senator.
No, I was just going to say, Ted, I think it'll be a close vote as well, but we are doing it. In fact, now we've had the third consecutive year of deficit reduction. That's the first time since the Truman administration. That
the
is
deficit's
Let
rising
me just
next
finish. Let's just finish here, Phil. We're heading in the right direction. We've got to continue in that direction. A major problem is health care. Now, the contract with America doesn't mention the words health care. And we made a debacle of it here in the last Congress. But clearly, getting a handle on Medicaid and Medicare can do a substantial amount towards keeping us on track if we come up with a good health care proposal. That's hard work. The constitutional amendment says 7 years down the road from now, we're going to have to achieve a balanced budget. That kind of thing just drives, it's like fingernails on the blackboard to people in this country. That's the gimmickry, that's the false promises, that's the bumper sticker approach. That's not doing the hard work.
Senator Graham, you get the last word. We're almost out of time.
Well, let me just say this, that the deficit is now rising. The Congressional Budget Office says the Clinton tax increases didn't lower the deficit because the money was spent. Thomas Jefferson recognized over 200 years ago that this had to be done. I believe we're going to do it, and I think America is going to be richer, freer, and happier.
Where is old Tom Jefferson when we need him, right?
People ask that every day.
I trust Jefferson over Graham.
Thank you both very much. I appreciate you being with us. I'll be back in a moment.
A brilliant idea never starts out brilliant. It starts out ridiculed. Because it's different and people haven't seen anything like it. Be unreasonable. Insist that it can be done. Show them how. This is the software that helps you show them.
It looks like I'm all alone out here. But I have company.
Try that sequence again.
Because every time I brake, swerve, or hit a bump, my teammates at Ford are watching and giving me feedback.
Preston, retard brakes, 10%.
We've created this system of testing. So even if a driver hasn't experienced conditions as extreme as these, it's a secure feeling knowing the car has.
Let's try that whole sequence again.
That's easy for you to say.
Ford, quality is job one.
In business, the only thing you know for sure is that every day will bring the unexpected. Up 1 minute, down the next. Only AT&T is bringing certainty to the uncertain world of business. Calls that get through, faxes that get through, and our prices will be competitive, guaranteed. We thought this might help you get through another day in business. AT&T, for the life of your business.
Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, Lee Trevino, and Raymond Floyd. Golf doesn't get any better than this. The Senior Skins Game begins Saturday on ABC.
You can think of this place as Tonyland.
He's the cop
Got a warrant.
who calls the shots.
I don't answer to the feds.
He's the cop who stands for justice.
I've already seen one child buried today. I don't plan on seeing any more.
And won't back down.
Don't extort a police commissioner.
Don't mess with the Eastbridge PD. You got that right.
He's a cop with his life on the line.
Sid, the guy's dirty.
Can you prove it?
And a man
Showtime, folks.
with a mission. Saturdays on ABC, The Commish.
It's the hottest music ticket of the year, and ABC's got one for you. There'll be live performances by Madonna, Boyz II Men, Celine Dion, the artist formerly known as Prince, Crash Test Dummies, and a Led Zeppelin reunion. Plus appearances by Michael Bolton, Will Smith, John Cicada, Barbara Mandrell, Paula Abdul, Vince Gill, Salt and Peppa, and more. And celebrate the 10th anniversary of the recording of We Are the World as the heavy hitters come together for the 22nd Annual American Music Awards. Live Monday here on ABC.
Tomorrow on 2020, a Barbara Walters exclusive. She interviews O.J. Simpson's first wife, Marguerite. What could she reveal in court? That's on 2020, tomorrow on this ABC station. And that's our report for tonight. I'm Ted Koppel in Washington. For all of us here at ABC News, good night.
It is a world of total confidence. It is Avalon. It is smooth acceleration from a powerful V6 with stability and maneuverability that goes beyond the expected. For the most refined ride of any Toyota ever, Avalon, the new flagship from Toyota. Experience the tranquility.
Nightline is a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.
Tuesday, when you need help.
U.S. Marshal, you're under arrest.
You call a cop. When the cops need help, they call Winston McBride. Jeff Fahey is Winston McBride. The Marshal, special preview Tuesday at 10/9 Central here on ABC.
It's Michael Matthews' highly acclaimed, all-new Hallelujah foot-stomping gospel musical, Mama, I'm Sorry. Emotional.
Who you calling boy?
You my child.
Look here, woman, I will beat you down.
Shocking.
You need the Lord, child, and you need to get out of my face. Don't you talk to me like that.
You'll cheer and laugh for Mama, I'm Sorry.
I got $472. You want it all?
You keep $2 for yourself, because I know you're going to want that chicken and biscuit.
The all-new hit gospel musical you must see. Mama, I'm Sorry. Starring Tony Award winner Melba Moore. With David Peaston, A.J. Johnson, Kenny Holiday, Ronnie Wilson, and G2 Kabuka. You'll never forget Mama, I'm Sorry. Coming to the Tennessee Performing Arts Center February 3rd through the 5th. Tickets on sale now or charged by phone. Mama, I'm Sorry. The all-new hit gospel musical you must see.
259 WKRN for the latest weather forecast from News 2.
Honey, Minnesota's pretty cold this time of the year. Did you pack enough sweaters?
3.
Well, what about socks?